in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is adjourned.
Pursuant to law, a public hearing will now be had on the following matter: amending the official map by abandoning a portion of Blossom Road right-of-way. Introductory number 43. Any persons desiring to speak in reference to said matter will now be heard.
Seeing no speakers, that hearing is now adjourned. We will now begin our Speak to Council session. All speakers will be given 3 minutes tonight at the podium. We respectfully ask that each speaker offer council the same respect they expect to receive in return. In doing so, please refrain from profanity and other harmful language. Council members have contact information for all of tonight's speakers and may follow up on any concerns that pique their interest. Clerk Washington will call each speaker to the podium. We ask that you respect the time of those waiting behind you and yield the podium at the end of your allotted 3 minutes tonight. Clerk Washington will begin the speaker list.
Mercedes Vasquez Simmons, Lori Thomas, Maria Gonzalez, Dorothy King is followed by Lorraine Parr. Dorothy's from the South District.
Can you hear me? Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, okay. Yes. Good evening. I was here about the car break-ins, and I just had a question because I was here last year regarding it. I know my son and his wife, they've had their car broken into 5 times, and I had asked last year when I spoke to council if there was any way they could collaborate with landlords to get cameras in place to just as a deterrent. Oh, just push it up some? Oh, I can hear myself now. Thank you. I was here last year and I had spoke to council about the car break-ins, and I had wanted to know if there was any follow-up on that. I have received this message on January 28th, and it reads, 3 of them I saw, 2 males, 1 female, broke into our vehicles, 3 other neighbors' vehicles as well. I'm just letting you guys know I'm safe. They shot at me, but I'm good. So they shot at my son because he was trying to intervene. He yelled to them and they broke into his car along with 3 others. I just wanted to know, is there a follow-up on that? Any cameras that can be put in place, working with the landlords to try to get some of these break-ins stopped? That's it. Thank you.
Lorraine Parr, Walid Muhammad, Maggie Kane, Russell Kelly, Zanetta Green,
Good evening to all the council members. My name is Zanetta Green, and I'm sorry, mister. Excuse me. My name is Zanetta Green, and I reside at Spectra at Sibley's, aka Liberty Lofts, which is owned by Wing Companies. Wing Companies in Section 8 are performing a scam. The scam is they false advertise a 1-bedroom. I got a 1-bedroom. Okay. So the 1-bedroom is at one price. Section 8 views the 1-bedroom as a studio. They knew this at the beginning. Okay. So they've been dragging it on. So now they're trying to force me to pay the offset or the overcost, which is misappropriation of government funds, which my money comes from my Social Security. And that disrupted my voucher. I've gone to them several times and complained to them. I asked to do grievances, whatever. I've been given no information. I've been denied all access. They act as if they don't know what's going on. I've only resided there for 4 months. Now they're trying to raise my rent next month up into another status. So that's a major issue. I'm overpaying and it kicked me out. The second issue is my safety. I have reported to them that their maintenance is coming into my apartment. They have stolen the camera that I had them installed. They stole that. They busted down the door, busted down the brink stick with the knob coming into my apartment while I'm asleep. They broke both these phones where if the phone is hacked, Cricket can't, I can't even get in there. I sent an email to a city council representative. Her name started with an A, so I could sign up to come and speak. And after I sent her the email with the pictures of the door and everything that was going on, then the phone just blacked out. I can't even have access to it. And I had to buy another phone. They're doing it again. And I'm tired of them coming in my apartment. I'm tired of my items being broken. I'm tired of my things being destroyed. I'm tired of being violated in my personal space. In my sleep, I'm just tired, and I need help to hold them accountable. They're doing a switch and bait, and it's illegal, and I need the city council's help. I'm gonna stay after so that I can address some issues, so that's why I'm here today. Thank you for your time.
Matt Siddell. Johnny Scott. He's from the Northwest District.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me at such short notice. We have a driving school that's been there for 44 years, ABC, karate school right downstairs. We've been there for quite some time. We're all senior citizens. We reside at 553 State Street. We have 4 apartments. Right before the new year, Premier 547 or wherever the name of the club is open, and they've been going from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. I'm quite sure that RPD has received at least 100 calls from us. I did approach the gentleman twice. The first time to let him know I respect your making money, how you make money, turn the music down. The second time was Saturday, and that's when it got ugly because he sent some guy to get in his face. I dealt with that real quick and was successful, and always will be. They broke all of the windows out of my Mercedes, and something needs to happen to rectify this because I live in Lindenville, but I also live in the city. I'm not going to run out to Lindenville and leave the tenants who can't help themselves to fend for themselves. And all this stuff has just gotten really bad. And we hope that, I've done everything that the net office has asked me to do. I've never heard from them again. I've done, like I said, RPD, they got tons of calls. And in the other night, I called to say, well, there's a car on the sidewalk. There was a gun one time. There was a fight. One of our tenants was hit by a car by someone who was fighting in the back. Drunk driver ran. She's messed up. It's just, I'm at a loss for words, but something has to give. And that's really all that I have to say. Thank you.
Marcus C. Williams. Mickey DePerna.
Hello, my name is Mickey. I use they, he pronouns, and I live in the South Wedge. I'm a member of Rochester Grants Pass Resistance. Grants Pass was a Supreme Court decision that declared sleeping outdoors could be criminalized. And today I'm here to ask the city to stop doing sweeps of the homeless encampments. You may be wondering why I brought this issue here, especially considering it's the county's responsibility to make sure residents are housed. The answer is simple. It's the mayor who is ordering these sweeps of these encampments. And it is your job as city council to balance the power of the mayor's office. So that is why I'm here. I've heard some city officials say that, and police officials say that they don't do sweeps of the unhoused, and that they provide resources and store people's things. I'm here to tell you that's a lie. It's a flat out lie. Ask any houseless person. I do outreach often with Grants Pass Resistance. I speak to them, I talk to them. The two things they always tell me is that the shelters are unsafe because they've been assaulted, sexually assaulted, harmed, abused in the shelters by staff and by other people sleeping in the shelters. And they tell me that the sweeps kill people, because they do. It is the duty of this council to balance the power of the mayor's office, to stand up for your constituents, even those that don't have a house or a home, and stop this from happening. I've met veterans. I've met people who are disabled. I've met people who are handicapped. I've met people who have mental illnesses. I've had people who have substance use disorder. None of these reasons are reasons for them to not have a house and shelter. There's this one woman I often see off of Monroe. She's in a wheelchair and she does not have legs. She's also extremely traumatized from her time being outside and on the streets. Asking police to do the jobs of healthcare workers and social workers only causes more harm for everybody. I'm begging you, do something to stop these sweeps. Stop killing these people. We all know how cold it is outside. It's 17 degrees tonight. I'll probably be going out to hand out some hand warmers, but I wish I could do more. You guys can do more. That's what you were elected to do. Please, please, stop the sweeps. Thank you.
Aaron Cote.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Cote. I am from the South District. I came to talk to you about two issues that I think are currently important issues I've seen. One is stop the sweeps of the unhoused encampments, and another is cleaning up our sidewalks so we have accessibility for getting around the city. We are mistreating our fellow neighbors, and it needs to stop now. Sweeps are disastrous for unhoused folks. It can lead to loss of irreplaceable belongings, critical medication, shelter, and means of survival, especially in these extreme cold months. Sweeps are deadly. It is very common for our unhoused neighbors to have nowhere to go. Shelters are often full or just outright inaccessible for many of our neighbors. People who are houseless deserve to have dignity and agency over where they sleep, eat, and take their medication. They are not dirt, they are human beings, and they need to be treated like that. Additionally, while I was doing volunteer outreach, I realized how critical working sidewalks are. Walking around North Clinton Ave, people could not walk without slipping on the sidewalks because there was 2 to 3 solid inches of ice. I saw one man in a wheelchair stuck on the sidewalk, stuck on the side of the road by a large pothole because he could not use the sidewalk because the terrain was not accessible. He was trying to get to the bus stop, and thankfully I was there to give him a hand. Multiple friends, neighbors, and coworkers have also reported slipping and hurting themselves on icy sidewalks. This is a serious issue that the city needs to address for the safety and accessibility for all. Please stop the sweeps and clean up the city sidewalks. Thank you.
Lori Finby. She's from the town of Charli.
Hi, City Council. My name is Lori Femby, and I'm here again speaking on behalf of Voiceless in Verona. We really wish more city council members would be the voice for the hundreds of animals suffering on the streets as well. There was a town hall meeting on February 5th hosted by the shelter's new director, Stacy Papadopoulos. And the reason for that town hall was for her to explain to animal advocates the how they're going to comply with the new regulations that go into effect at the end of the year. That was all good, but we weren't able to discuss the real problems that the advocates have with RAS, and they were not addressed. We were only allowed to ask questions on written index cards, and they were going to answer us by email, which they did. There seems to be a sort of a serious problem with the new director and her communications with outside animal advocates and the volunteers. There's no transparency of what really goes on inside the shelter. If people speak up, have opinions, want answers, or reveals information, they get scolded, chewed out, terminated, and silenced by the management. Recently, a volunteer who dedicated herself to helping animals get out of the shelter by taking beautiful videos and posting them on social media, trying to help get dogs that desperately need to get out of the shelter, she was silenced. It appears that management does not want anyone to voice their concerns or discuss the realities of what goes on inside the shelter. As of last week, this beautiful human is no longer affiliated or allowed to help promote the need of adoption at RAS. This is a tragic decision by Ms. Papadopoulos, because now more dogs will languish in the kennels, less will get adopted, and more will likely face euthanasia. A municipal shelter is an animal shelter that is run by the city or the county and funded by our tax dollars. Employees and volunteers should not fear being terminated or silenced because they speak up and voice their opinions. As you guys all know, there's a huge crisis with the animals, and you guys have to go to bat for us and get something done at our shelter. We're counting on you. Please. Thank you, and it was nice to see you there. Thank you.
Amy D'Amico. She's from the town of Fairport.
Good evening, council members. I'm here to ask City Council to consider a new policy protecting unhoused people from homeless sweeps. In my capacity as a street outreach volunteer in the City of Rochester, I've seen firsthand there are not enough emergency shelter beds for members of our community who have nowhere to go. In January 2024, 635 people without children were counted in the HUD point-in-time count for Monroe County. There are 570 shelter beds for adults without children. Do the math. Just for adults without children, we are short 65 beds. Indeed, 78 people counted were found outdoors in places not meant for human habitation. Some people do not access high barrier shelters. James and Katie, not their real names, would rather sleep outdoors in Maplewood Park than be split up. While they are now temporarily placed at a motel through volunteer outreach and advocacy, for more than a year they spent their time in the park, sleeping and making do in a tent in frigid and hot elements alike. Actually, he's quite a MacGyver. They were really talented at survival. Her mental health is very frail, and they have to stay together. He's the only one she trusts. Shelter stays make her mental health condition exacerbated. It's a very tough situation. And while they're now in a motel and on their way to housing, shelter barriers, including noise, violence, theft, bed bugs, curfews, strict rules like no outside food, LGBTQ discrimination, and lots of barriers for people with mental health and substance use disabling conditions made stays there impossible. Displacement of their tent is devastating, and it also brings stigma and shame, isolation and despair. It exacerbates mental health conditions and substance use disorder. They lose ID and belongings for good. This makes housing searches very difficult. Homeless sweeps encouraged house people to treat the houseless as less than, like garbage, something to be swept away, like dirt. Please do the work necessary to stop the sweeps. Thanks for listening.
Oscar Brewer.
City Council, great evening to you, right? Nice and cold out tonight. Close your eyes and imagine being homeless, sleeping on these bitter streets of Rochester. With all these lovely vacant buildings in Rochester, why do we have an unhoused population as we do? We can dump all this money to improve downtown Rochester because Mayor Evans said a couple years ago in the State of the City he wants downtown Rochester, quote, to look like downtown Atlanta, Georgia. City Council, this is Rochester, New York, not downtown Atlanta, Georgia. Do your job. Also, to the Northwest District Rep, I'm getting an extensive uptake of calls from your constituents over slumlords. Please respond to me on your calls. I mean, I'm reaching out to you daily. You told me before around good calls you don't like me coming down and yelling. So I'm coming down and being respectful. I got 5 tenants reaching out to me of a bad landlord that's not even doing anything. And thank you, City Council, for passing good cause. The slumlord is still trying to evict these tenants because they're withholding the rent and properties have no C of O. I will remind you, New York State property law states you cannot legally rent a property without a C of O. So President Miguel Melendez and other council members, while you're still here, please strongly do look at code enforcement and enhancing code enforcement. We know code enforcement is extinct because their current policies are not working. So the biggest reason I'm here tonight, along with Rochester Grants Pass, which I'm part of, again, I was there when lovely Warren swept the unhoused population on South Avenue. We now got a skate park. Congratulations, right? Let's take some of this money you guys are holding on to and reinvest into the housing market that we have. Housing is a human right. Housing is health care. Housing is public safety. Housing is education. And what are we doing? The numbers we got last year should make all of you drop out of your seats. I mean, seriously. Is this what you're running for those of you who's running for re-election this year? Is this what you're going to tell your constituents and you give me a signature so I can get on a ballot again? Is that what you're running on? Is it? It's cold outside. I implore you to sleep outside one night, like Scott Spezzano used to do when he was with 98 PXY on top of Midtown Plaza, to raise awareness around this crisis we're seeing. We are now under a housing crisis, as we've known for years, and an unhoused population. If you don't want to do nothing locally, join us on our statewide fight and sign a unanimous letter with all 9 of you together to Governor Hochul and say pass housing access voucher programming this year. That is something that needs to happen right now in Rochester. Thank you, guys, and good luck on your campaigns this year.
Mercedes Vasquez Simmons. Lori Thomas.
Good evening. This is a poem I wrote called Facts. We have no black leadership in Rochester, only leaders that are black. Don't take my word for this condition, you need only check the facts. Our children live in poverty while we spend millions to connect the community. Our school board meetings are empty, no black leaders show up to protest the failure of our children that leads to their arrest. Our children live in poverty, there's no disputing that, while 501c3s get rich funding illegal acts. Affordable housing is everywhere that no one can afford, and our elder homes are foreclosed upon, and investors become their lords. Black leaders shout racism, white supremacy they rail, while murderers paid by the state spend no time in jail. And when it's time to take a stand, black leaders form a group to form committees and create agendas jumping through that hoop. Black leaders here in Rochester march to do their job. Black leaders here in Rochester are there to quell the mob. There is no leadership in Rochester, black or otherwise. Just ask our children, elders, and pets. You only compromise. Our leaders here in Rochester observe the plantation with pride, making lots of money for the owners and a little for themselves on the side. If there was black leadership in Rochester, our children would not merely survive. True black leadership would make sure that all of our children thrived. The facts are clear. There's no denying the leadership is black, but their actions tell us quite clearly they're leading us to the back. And now I look behind me. To you who claim to care, you come to speak to council when you know they're just sitting there. You won't force them to be honest. You just let them do their thing while expecting them to listen to our cries of social pain. They care as much as you do, which isn't much at all, because our children are still dying and our board's an empty hall. Oh, how tragic are our lives that I come to you to speak, even though we know for sure there's nothing you will do. Our children will still suffer, our homeless won't have homes, our animals will lead sheltered lives, and some will die alone. God bless America and its citizens. We have the right to fight, but we give up instead.
Maria Gonzalez. Lorraine Parr.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Hello, hello. Well, we're here talking about the same old things as we usually do. Homeless animals, homeless people, potholes, all the great stuff Rochester has. We want to know, what is the agenda of this council and the mayor? What are you guys doing? You can't come together on things? What is it? Does the mayor, is he the dictator of Rochester? What? I don't understand how this is all working. Something has to be done. These things keep going on and on. We complain and complain. Nothing's ever done. I just want to know why. And then the same promises every election year, but the same empty promises as usual. What is it about Rochester? All these other cities, they're better than us. They have other things going on. They can actually arrest people that leave animals out to freeze to death, but not here in Rochester. If you report it, oh, there's nothing we can do. Dogs froze to death on Bernard Street, I think it was about a month ago, and it was reported, but nothing happened. So, and then the homeless people, they're out there freezing their butts off, and nothing ever happens about that either. And then all our housing is being taken away from investors, but you guys don't do anything either when you can do something about it and put a law saying, you got to be a resident to buy realty here. But you don't do any of that. None of our potholes are fixed. I know you guys drive, so the streets have giant holes in them and nothing's done. I don't know why that's, what that's about. But if the mayor is the man that's causing all these problems, why don't you impeach him? Why don't you do something besides sit there? This is getting ridiculous. I'm tired of coming here every month complaining about the same things. The same things we all complain about. And everybody, stop voting for these people and vote for different people. We have Marcus Williams running and a Jake Shapiro. They're on different parties. So what? Give them a chance. Somebody's got to do something here. But we're sick of it. We're tired of it. We're tired of coming here. You guys got to stop worrying about what's going on overseas and concentrate on Rochester. I don't care what's going on in Gaza or Palestine. You need to concentrate here. Stop it now and concentrate on Rochester residents. Thank you.
Walid Muhammad. Maggie Kane.
I'm tired, and I'm not here to complain about how tired I am and what I do, but I am. You know what? I feel like I've been coming here for so long, and your aim is to make me so tired that I'm not going to keep coming here. But that's not going to work. besides doing Voices of Verona Street, I don't just go home, type up a speech, which I didn't even do tonight, and then not do anything else. I also volunteer with a group that helps homeless people. I go out and feed homeless people and their animals. This week, I spent a whole week trying to help a guy, a wonderful person, but his circumstances, he's homeless. He lives in a tent. His dogs escaped. They almost got hit by a car. I found a foster for him. Then the foster had to get rid of the, couldn't keep the dogs. I found someone, because I know people at pet stops here who is boarding the dogs. I guess it's just astounding to me that there's people freezing outside, animals are freezing outside, and honestly, my neighbor saw the mayor at Tops the other day, I wish I did, buying $600 worth of groceries while I'm delivering peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to people who are freezing to death outside. And I don't understand. I don't understand why doesn't anybody have any care for their brothers and sisters? It's beyond me. And you know what? Yeah, sometimes I feel like giving up, but I'll be damned because I'm going to keep coming here until something actually happens, till I don't have to go into a tent and give a guy a blanket and give him some dog food. And please don't say, oh, why doesn't he have a job? He can't go into a shelter because they'll get rid of his dogs. You know, and people don't understand that. They judge it. But sometimes that's all that people have, are an animal. And we need to continue to be the voices for voiceless animals and the voiceless people of this city. Once again, I know he's here because he's never here. Mayor Evans, son of a minister, when will you minister to your own community?
Russell Kelly, Matt Siddell, Marcus C. Williams,
Good evening, City Council. Hey everybody, my name is Marcus C. Williams. I'm coming here to talk about the same thing that I seem to have to talk about all the time, which happens to be the crime. I'd love to take time and talk about the issues with the animal shelter, the homeless, the housing issues with the rent and the actual home ownership problems. I'd love to talk about those things. I'd love to talk about what's not being done and what can be done with education, but I can't talk about anything except the crime because nothing is being done. Yesterday, I saw some of you up there with the mayor talking about, oh, we're going to put together an action team that's going to basically be peer mediators for adults. Is that what we're doing? You know, it wasn't a big deal in school with peer mediators. Now we're doing that for adults. When we've got people out here, you're talking about, oh, we're going to do that so that they can talk about the parking issues and the discrepancies that people have. Parking issues? Are you serious? When people's cars are being broken into and stolen every single day, when it's ruining their livelihood and they're not able to take their children to school, they're not able to go to work, so many of them are losing their jobs, people got to pay deductibles for their cars and all of these issues, and that is our priority. Somebody please make that make sense to me. This is a problem. The crime is a problem. People are getting shot, stabbed, sexually assaulted, which we can't even talk about all of those that go unreported and don't even get mentioned ever, okay? We can't talk about all the homeless people ever, okay? We can't talk about all of the people that go missing. You know how many missing children there are in this city right now? It's abysmal. But all of the issues in and related to law enforcement and crime continue to go unaddressed. I've come here, I've asked you, please advocate for us on the state level, to our state assembly, to our state senators, to call them out publicly, to get them to fix bail reform and raise the age laws. I've only ever heard 2 of you actually say anything about it, and one of them isn't here today. This is a problem, you guys. We are suffering here. And it's more than just the streets that don't get plowed and the sidewalks that don't get plowed or anything like that. It's the crime and the drugs and all of this stuff that I shouldn't have to come here and beg you guys to advocate for us when it is your job. You are our representatives. Where is the public advocacy for public safety? We want more businesses here. I'm a business owner. I used to have some retail businesses. I closed my retail businesses because the crime is too crazy out there. It's not safe. People don't feel safe walking to their cars. We deserve better. All I'm asking for is you guys, please advocate for us and shame these people publicly from the state delegation. Thank you, guys.
So we have reached the end of our Speak to Council session tonight. I'd like to thank all of you for attending. The next regular council meeting will be this Tuesday, February 25th at 6 p.m. here in Chambers. Everyone have a good night. Thank you.